Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. Behind me is my '07 CTS drift car. I've been driving this car for the last year and a half or so. I spent a couple years building it on and off. Kind of in the meantime, I was driving the 350Z. So this kind of got put on the back burner for a little bit. But today we're going to go over the whole car and the build on it before I tear it down to use some parts for the vet. So pretty much what we're going to use, we're going to end up using the transmission. We might use the engine block, and we're going to use the rear axle CVs, and probably some of the AN fittings for the cooling system, just because Dash 20 AN fittings are really expensive, and I'm trying to save some money where I can on the Corvette build. Unfortunately, the motor in the Caddy is hurt. Cylinder 5 is down. It has like 20 psi compression. It's got like 80% cylinder leakage, and it's running right past the ring. So either it's got a broken ring land or something like that. So I might use the car behind me. It's a '07 base model CTS. It has all of the stuff to make it basically a CTS-V. It's got coilovers and stuff. It's got CTS-V brakes, so 4-piston calipers, big 12-inch rotors. So that all works really well. But the reason I built this car was my first year drifting. I drifted a completely stock '06 CTS-V that I cut the knuckles on, and I built a handbrake caliper bracket for and ran it that way. Yeah, that car did awesome. It was really great, but it definitely, I wanted a little more safety features. I wanted a cage. Still wanted to be able to have my kids in the back seat of it, so that's why I built this car. So this car has a full 4-seater cage. So you can see here, it's got door bars in the front, full cage, and also has 4 seats. It's got Kirkies in the back, has had Momos in the front for a while now, and all works really well. I've had adults back there. It's a little tight for adults. The headroom is a little tight, but it does work. I can kind of fit back there myself, and I'm 6'4", so. But unfortunately, after 3 years of drifting and realizing that I want to get more into competitions, I drove this car in 2 different comps this year. I drove 1 round of the Gambler, 3 rounds of Great Lakes Pro-Am, and realized really quickly that the car lacks a ton. It's heavy, it weighs 3,700 pounds. It also doesn't have a ton of angle. I built an angle kit for it. I'm not an engineer, so there's tons of geometry that I'm missing that I don't know really how to change or how to fix. I'm also just, putting a ton of time and effort into a chassis to be competitive and try to get a Formula Drift Pro license. It doesn't work. I'm not an engineer. So if I had an engineering degree, it might be better, but still, I don't know what really needs to be changed to make a competitive chassis if I can. So that's why we ended up getting the vet. That will be my competitive edge, I feel like. But the Caddy. It's a Gen 4 5.3 aluminum block. It has completely untouched bottom end, stock ring gap. Haven't even pulled the rod caps off. Didn't even look at the cam bearing, stuffed a cam in it. It's got a comp cam. It's pretty low lift cam. Let it sing higher RPMs. LS7 lifters, comp, beehive springs, chromoly push rods. It's got a, I think, Summit Racing trunnion kit in it. It works really well. Cheap eBay GT45 Summit Racing, or a Black Sheep Industries piston type wastegate, VS Racing blow-off valve, Mac valve controlled by Terminator X to control the boost, Volvo electric power steering pump, Willwood pedal box with Willwood Masters. It's got a Clutch Masters clutch delay valve in it. I highly suggest one of those for everybody drifting. LS6R 102, my own charge side, hot side, everything, all of that stuff I made. So it all works really well. It's been a great turbo setup, even with the cheap turbo, with it being too big. It doesn't have a ton of boost lag. So yeah, it's worked really well. But the rest of the car just lacks. So moving on to the back. Rear mount radiator. It's a Summit Speedway Motors double bypass 2-row. So coolant comes out. I started taking it apart, but coolant comes in the top here, goes across the radiator, down the tank, back across, because there's a divider right here in this tank. So it's forced to go through the radiator twice. Lussier 55 gallon per hour electric water pump that I pulse with modulate control, so I don't need a thermostat. We just slow the pump down. It's got an ATL bladdered fuel cell with a Fuelab surge tank. It's got a Walboro 450 on the surge, or on the feed, and then it's got a Fuelab 340 for the lift pump. So that has been an awesome setup. I've had zero issues with the fuel system. Everything has worked flawlessly. Really shout out to Fuelab. They build an awesome product. Can't say enough about them. They're great people. So I look forward to definitely having a more relationship with those guys. Back there is a huge Durali oil cooler. Unfortunately, I think the location of it, I've had major oil temp issues all year long since I built the car. Can't keep the oil temps down. Did back half it, or built a rear crash structure. So chopped it off right at the subframe. Used 3x3 square tube on the back, then just bent out some tube as a square for the crash bars. I used to have this tied in, but at E-Town I tapped the wall a couple of times on initiation, and it definitely upset the car majorly, so I wanted to change that for future, and basically made these so if I was to touch, they would flex, and they do flex quite a bit. Never got the chance to tag a wall again after that, but I would assume that it would have been a lot softer. Moving on to the cockpit here. Again, we used to have a Momo Halo in here at Daytona. Really like those seats, they're great. Moving on to the cockpit here. Again, this used to have a Momo Daytona Halo seat in it. That's gonna go in the vet. But for right now, I've just got an NRG sat in here so I can move the car around. It's got a Holley Pro Dash in it. Holley Pro Dash is a really cool dash. I like it a lot. Definitely, if you're using Terminator X, I recommend getting one. They're great. The handbrake is kind of my own custom deal. It's a Wilwood clutch pedal that's been cut up and remodified and stuff. It's just, I had it in a couple different cars now, so it's just stayed. Shifter's a long rail type shifter for my 4-speed dog box. The tranny that's in it is an old Rankin 4-speed, so it's an old NASCAR transmission. They're super strong transmission, but finding parts for them is a nightmare. I've been fortunate enough, the guy I bought the transmission off of, he was getting rid of a bunch of Rankin stuff, so I was able to work out a deal with him and some friends. The guy that I bought the tranny off of lives down in North Carolina, so getting the parts up here was kind of a pain in the ass. So getting the parts up here was kind of a pain in the butt, but I was able to get them all up through a couple of friends, and having spare parts for it has been great. It's got a aux beam little button pad here. It's worked well. I don't use it for anything overly important. It's got reverse lights on it, my cool shirt, interior lights. I never put underglow in the car, but also has, again, Wilwood pedal box. I put the balance knob right on the dash. That's been really cool to dial. Helps dial in your left foot brake feel. Window switches, left side's front, right side's rear. Still has power windows. Other than that, yeah, it's a 4-seater cage. You know, it definitely is tight back there, but works. Not the fire extinguisher up there, nice, easy to get to. Other than that, it's just your basic drift car. I'll move over to the other side and show you the electronics. Moving on over to this side of the car. Moving on over to this side of the car. We've got Holley Terminator X, and then everything else is controlled. It's a mess under here right now. There's communication cables and stuff hanging because I robbed the cable out of it. It's a Speedway Motors hot rod harness to run all the chassis stuff. I tried to go cheap on it and it worked, but I'm not happy with it. So that relay box over there controls everything else on the car. And then in the back here, we've got all of our solid state relays. So 2 Nitrous Express solid state relays, and actually they're not Nitrous Express, they're NOS relays. Solid state, so they're really cool. No switching, you can pulse width modulate control them. And then I've got this MSD control box here that controls the fans and stuff. You can still pulse width modulate it, but the NOS relays have a higher amperage rating, so that's why I ran those for the fuel pump and the water pump. Other than that, battery stuck back there. Let's go up in the air and I'll show you what's going on underneath. All right, so we're halfway up, so I feel like this will be a good time to shout out some of my sponsors. Fuelab's really been awesome to work with. They're great people. Again, they hooked it up a ton last year. They're going to hook it up a ton again this year for the Corvette. We're going to have their brushless in-tank pump for the Corvette in there. Drift East, can't say enough about those guys. They helped me out a ton getting into the Pro-Am. They run drift school up in Groveton, New Hampshire. They have awesome events. They're really down to earth, really just fun, good vibes. Really good time. Obviously, my own shop, Lussier Motorworks. If you're in the Northeast or outside of that and you want to have your car shipped to us, we'll do everything. I do anything, custom exhaust, oil changes, full builds. We've built some pretty cool trucks. Check out our website, check out our Facebook. We just dropped the website. We are now selling parts. I have all of my dealers that I'm slowly working on getting stuff in there on the website. But slowly working on getting stuff on the website. Right now, I think I've got all of Link's inventory on there, as well as Fuelab's inventory. I've got some other stuff that I'm slowly working on putting on. It's just taking some time, but if you guys want to order anything off of there, Link, ECU, Fuelab, if you use code 5OFF, that's the number 5, OFF, all in capitals, gives you 5% off your entire order. So definitely check out my website. That'd be great. I really appreciate it. I'll put the link in the description. But moving on, Weld Racing has been awesome to deal with. I'm a dealer for Weld, so I had a connection over there. I talked with him. They really don't have Weld on drift cars as a sponsor. So they wanted to try something new, so they put it on the Caddy. Luckily, with the Vet, they run the same hubs, so I just used base model CTS hubs on the Corvette and was able to use these wheels on the Vet. So it's been really great working with Weld. I look forward to keep continuing my relationship with them and hopefully helping them get into the drift world a little more. Other than that, Big Indian Motorsports, awesome people. We went out there on our way out to Erie. We swung by Big Indian Drift Pit. If you don't know anything about Big Indian, I severely suggest you check out their Instagram, their YouTube. I have such a cool thing going. It's a big burnout pit that they do drifting on. They are great people. It's on an Indian reservation, so they kind of have a little laxer rules than most of the country. So they get to do a few things. Place is really well set up. Huge fences. Everybody's safe. All the spectators are safe. They got flame towers and all kinds of. It's really neat. It's quite the production. They do events every Thursday night during the summer and spring and fall. But the biggest thing is $10 entry fee to get into the place, and it's free to drive. We stopped in there to grab some food on our way to Erie for Pro-Am, and we were watching, and I'm like, I think we could probably pull the car out of the trailer. So I went to go find out how much it was going to be to drive, and they're like, it's free. And I'm like, what? So that was really neat. We got some, I put some laps on, destroyed a set of tires there, and then ended up meeting Eric, the owner, and he's a really cool guy. He invited us over to his personal compound. His personal compound's wild. We ended up doing some donuts under a car hanging from a crane, and we're probably doing 90 miles an hour in this guy's compound. I mean, this place is massive. So definitely cool people. Been great dealing with them and working with them. I look forward to continuing my relationship with those guys next year. But yeah, so this car is taking quite the beating this year. It's smoked a wall at E-Town. The rear quarters have been smashed in a bunch of times. The bumper's fallen off a handful of times. It's been doored by numerous people. The car is just really taking a kicking. This frame rail got pushed in when I hit the wall at E-Town. That was fun. Dirt dropped, it rotated the front end over. But so moving on to the back underneath here, the rear end, it's an 8.8. It's out of a Ford Explorer, 2006 to 2010 Ford Explorer. I made my own brackets and then my own stub shafts. So the stub shafts I use, they are, again, this is a factory Ford Explorer 8.8. This one is actually going to be for my quick change that I'm building. But that's a factory stub shaft. What I do is I machine the bell that holds the CV essentially together, machine that off, and then this is a drive flange for a Porsche 930. So this drive flange is actually for a Volkswagen bus. It's 108 millimeter CV, super popular. Pretty much all the aftermarket CV manufacturers use a 108 flange, so parts are readily available for them. But yeah. Just machine the two, press them together, true it up in the lathe, and then weld it together. I anneal it, so it basically cools really slow. It makes it strong. Doesn't necessarily need to be hard, just strong. Two dissimilar metals, they kind of can crack and break because the flange is 4130 chromoly. The factory axle is just a hardened steel. Moving on to the axle shafts. This is a huge one. So my CVs, they are RCV 4130 chromoly CVs. So I use RCV for a couple of reasons. I came from the off-road world originally, and RCV is a super popular company in the off-road world. They make really strong axle shafts for Dana 60s and 14 bolts and all kinds of stuff. They do all kinds of crazy stuff with them. They make stuff for UTVs as well, but they make four different Porsche 930 CVs. They make a 4130 chromoly in a 28 spline or 30 spline. They also make a 300M in a 28 spline or 30 spline. So the factory Porsche 930 axles are all 28 spline, but by getting the two extra splines out of it, you do get a little bit of strength. The axles are a little bit bigger, the holes are going to be a little bit bigger, so it works really well. So these are a 30 spline chromoly CV. I didn't go 300M, the price difference is quite a bit, and RCV also offers a lifetime warranty. So if I was to break the CV, I send it to them, they send me a new one back. They even told me if I was to break one, send them all of my CVs, whether or not they're broken or not. If I send them all my CVs, pay the difference, they will send me 300Ms. I haven't run into it. This car weighs a lot. It made a ton of power, and I never broke one of their CVs. I don't even know if they're worn. They don't sound any different from the day I put them in. So we're gonna run them in the vet. I think they'll hold up fine. The axles, they are Dutchman high tough axles. They're 30 spline. They're one of the only couple companies that I could find that would make a 30 spline axle for the RCV CVs. They actually sell everything on their website. RCV CVs, all the boots, everything. So if you really want to put a set of axles together, they're going to be super strong. I suggest going over to their website, checking them out. It's Dutchman Axle. They're an awesome company to deal with. All you need to do is send them dimensions of your flange to flange of your drive flanges for your CVs, and they can make you a set of axles for it. So the rear end has been super strong. We haven't had any issues with that. Besides, I had a 8.8 that the ring gear bolts backed out on. That was a super weird thing. Back here, these rear control arms I made. It's a swedge tube for just a race car. That's just a 3/4 inch bolt. And then over here, we got a 3/4 inch bushing. Other than that, toe links I made myself because that's my own grip kit. So that grip kit there, I have anywhere from 0 toe in to an inch of toe in per side. At an inch of toe in, it's pretty radical. It's almost impossible to get the car sideways. So doesn't really work that well. Fuel, all the coolant lines, it's all 1 3/4 exhaust pipe from front to back, dash 20 hoses on either end. The cooling systems work pretty well. Exhaust, it's all 304 stainless, goes round to oval to round, back to round, I think, I don't know, something like that. It's got a little Borla race muffler on it. That thing's hit the ground numerous times, but it worked really well. Exhaust sounded good. I was stoked with it. Transmission is, like I said, a Rankin 4-speed, so it's an old side shift dog box. Transmission's been pretty good. I've had a couple issues with it though, mostly my own fault. Found that the shifter was a huge issue. I had an old Hurst shifter on it and didn't work all that well. Apparently the long shifters are way faster, work way better. Again, angle kit is my own kit. I sell these on my website on LussierMotorworks.com. You get about 47 degrees of angle without modifying control arms. If you grind a little bit of the control arm right in this area, right in front of where the shock mounts, I get about 60 degrees of angle with it. So it works really well. It's got a Holley 302-2 oil pan that pretty much I set the motor as far down as I could get it, so it's like touching the steering rack, it's touching the sway bar. Everything's solid mounted, everything works fine. But yeah, that's pretty much the build. But for right now, I'm not necessarily going to call it quits with the car. For right now, I am retiring it. We're gonna use, again, the transmission, some of the coolant hoses, the coolant fittings, the axles in the back, just trying to save myself money on building the Corvette. That's obviously, building a pro car is not a cheap thing, and I gotta save some money where I can. So I'm gonna use some parts out of this. We'll probably put this car back together next winter. I think I want to do like a 6-liter with makes like 400 horse, a T56. I'll probably do some axles again at that point in time. Just maybe put the radiator back up front as well, so I could do some street competitions with it. So, but yeah, hope you enjoyed. That's going to do it for this one. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.